Hello folks, it's June 8th. I'm going to do a walkthrough in the garden. Things are doing really awesome this year. This is my fig tree. It's grown a lot of new growth. It's at least twice as big as it was at its biggest point last year, and hopefully it's still growing. Got some random seedlings down there. So you got strawberries here. Strawberries didn't do so great, mostly because of the slugs. I put loofahs in here. They kind of looked a little stressed. It said right on the package that they don't transplant well. I had another one here. I think a squirrel pulled it up. So I don't know. They're looking a little bit better now. We've had some hot days, which I think they like hotter weather. This is my rhubarb. It does this every year. It grows, it looks awesome, and then it'll just like collapse. And then it'll grow back. It takes a while to recover. It'll grow back, and then it'll collapse again. So I don't know, I have other rhubarb all over the property that does amazing. Actually, my husband pulled one out of his garden and just like threw it in the corner, and it still grows there. This is my daughter's garden. Look at that. These kind of volunteered. She had some petunias last year. Oh, it's so beautiful and velvety. I don't know if she knows this is bloomed. I think this must have just bloomed today. It's pretty early in the morning. She's still in bed. But I think they self-seeded, and I think some of the seeds even went to my other bed. I wasn't exactly sure. I thought it looked like petunia, but I'd never heard of petunia volunteering, but that is definitely a petunia. These are carrots. She threw a few in. So there's 3 or 4 here. There's some radishes, some volunteer marigolds. This is nasturtium. It's really pretty. This one's huge. This might be a weed, or it might be a volunteer ground cherry. I think it's a weed. She had ground cherries last year in this bed. But there's a weed that's around here that's pretty similar. There's her Easter lily. It's got, I think this is the most buds I've ever seen on this. The first several years it didn't even grow any flowers, so it's really nice to see, and they look like they're about to burst. She's got a radish going to seed. I have a few radishes throughout the garden going to seed, and so she's let some of hers go to seed too. Here's some more of that petunia. It looks really nice. And here's some more too. I put a pepper in there. I think that's I don't know, maybe it's a red bell pepper. I have, another one there too. I have gotten my peppers mixed up, but once they grow peppers, I'll be able to tell them apart. It's either jalapeno or, oh wow, there's a lot of petunias over here. I was just working out here 2 days ago and I didn't see the flowers. But yeah, all this weed here, I didn't pull it because I thought it looked like petunia, and I knew there was petunia in her bed last year, but oh, that's really pretty. Alright, cool. There's some kale here that grew itself. I put some spinach here. I wish I would have put more, but I thought I had put something here, but nothing ever came up, so I don't know. I did end up putting my peppers here. There's a pepper here. They're a little behind. A pepper here. Look at this weed. This is, I think, an oak tree. Is as big as my pepper. There's a few random radishes I put. There's another pepper. But yeah, because I have a lot of the spring garden still in, I've had trouble finding places for my summer things. I put a tomato there. And there's another one up there. I'll give you a closer look. But this is what a lot of my spring garden is doing now, going to seed. This was a volunteer kale, and it went to seed pretty soon. A lot of times if things are started earlier in the season, they're kind of acclimated to colder weather, they'll go to seed sooner. But I wanted this to go to seed. It throws its own seed. I mean, that's where this all came from. I haven't planted kale in this bed in several years. It just keeps coming back, which is like my ideal way of gardening. A lot less work on my end. So I wanted to let it throw its seed. Last year, for the first time, I actually collected seed and saved it, and I'll show you over on the other side where I put it. It worked out marvelously, and I got a ton of kale with no additional cost, so that's really nice as far as saving seed. This is red Russian kale, and it's been really easy. It throws its own seed. I've been able to collect it, and it worked out really, really well. So I was going to let a few plants go to seed, and then I started doing some sprouting, some pretty serious sprouting recently, just like in a jar on my counter. Like alfalfa sprouts, and I have some red clover seeds, and I know you can do kale seeds too. So I mean, look how many, each of these little seed pods probably has like 8 to 10 seeds in it, and each of these stems has probably 30 or 40 seed pods, and there's probably 40 or 50 seeds on it. I mean, there's thousands of seeds just on this plant, and I have a few other plants as well. So I can save up the seeds and then have my own sprouting seeds, because sprouting seeds are not cheap. Here's an onion I got out of my pantry. Looks like it's going to seed. I'm pretty sure nothing's happening underground as far as like it making an onion, so I don't know. I might let it go to seed. I know onion seeds can be used culinarily, or maybe I'll just let it throw the seeds. I don't know. I got another kale here. Some nasturtiums. These are those really pretty ones with the variegated leaves like are in her garden. They're called Alaska Mix, I think. See, I have some more like volunteer kale. I put some radishes here. There's some weeds too. Volunteer dill. This was chard. I don't know if this damage is just, it got torn up. We had some pretty heavy rains recently, or if something's eating that. There's that other tomato. So those two I started from seed. They're like cherry type tomatoes. Let's see what else we have here. Just a few radishes here. So I have some area to work here, although the tomatoes will get big eventually. I might throw some more radishes in there. These giant things, hard for me to see in the viewfinder because of the sunshine. These are all cilantro going to seed. So this is all, you know, it's seeded itself to make the cilantro. We had a ton of cilantro. It was really nice, especially since we've been going to the grocery store less. You can see some seeds are forming. So these will make coriander seeds, which can be used culinarily, or I can just save it to grow cilantro. And the nice thing is when it seeds itself, it seems like it lasted longer. Like if you get a transplant, it can go into shock pretty easily for cilantro. So having it start itself, it lasted through the heat a nice long time. Here's a Swiss chard. It's just starting to get big. I think this is a weed. I got some radishes I let go to seed. I have a couple different varieties and I don't really know which one's which. Some of these, like this one, which you can see, never really made a root, but I wanted to let this one go to seed since it wasn't making a root anyway. So I let it go to seed, and then I'm going to save these seeds and use them for sprouting seeds. I have a few other that made nice big roots, but they bolted, so I let those go to seed, and I'm going to save those seeds separately to plant in the garden. So I'm going to have kind of two sets of seeds. But yeah, a lot of this cilantro, I don't need nearly all of this, but it's so beautiful. It just looks like a beautiful flowering shrub at this point. Here's some kale. This is like a second sowing of kale. I just threw a bunch of seeds out here, and it does marvelously. You can pick it at this point and use it for salad greens or baby greens, or let it grow a little bigger. And I'll show you the other kale I have. There's some more kale underneath here, and this is actually called leaf cabbage. It's so sweet and delicious. I got the seeds from Baker Creek, and it's been doing really well. Luckily, I've been having good luck with my kale, all of my kale this year. Sometimes I get white cabbage moth butterfly larvae, and sometimes I get white flies, but this year has been really nice. Got some onion starts there. What, honey? Okay, that's fine. So that's pretty much that bed. Once I pull the cilantro out, I'll have a lot of that bed. There is some Swiss chard that I'd like to keep. And then I guess that kale will continue to grow, but I'll have a good amount of this bed. I still have to put a lot of my summer stuff in. The peppers and tomatoes have kind of a late start because of all this stuff is still in here. This is lettuce. Unfortunately, this is all going to get pulled out. It turns bitter as soon as it gets warm. This actually should have probably been pulled out last week. We've been just kind of eating bitter salads because I just can't bear to it just hurts my heart. It's so beautiful and it looks nice. It just doesn't have a great flavor. But when homegrown lettuce is good, it's so good, but it turns pretty easily. So I'll pull this out, and I have this whole half of the bed for zucchini. I want to do green beans too. I just have so many things I want to do and not very much space. More cilantro going to seed. There's a radish. There's another radish. See, that one actually made a nice big bulb. So when I save those seeds, I want to make sure I mark those as for the garden. And then the other ones that didn't make a bulb, I'll use for sprouting. Here's some more kale. You can see how many kale seeds I'm going to get. Awesome. I put some tomatoes here between the kale so that when I pull them out, the tomatoes can start. And you'll see how big the other ones are. These were a 4-pack I bought. These are black creme tomatoes. They've grown since I put them in. They're probably about double the size that when I put them in. There's another one under here, but I guess they're just shaded so much. This one's growing taller, but it's not very full. And I'll show you in the other bed, the other two from the 4-pack. Some onions here, some weeds too, but that's all right. All right, so all this lettuce is the black-seeded Simpson. It's gonna get pulled out, but under here there's some newer, under all this, it's like a jungle. There's some newer lettuce under here. I think some of this is still usable. I'll have to try it. This was put in after this, like a succession planting, and this was a Rocky Top blend that I got from Baker Creek. Nice variety. I really like these freckly ones. Okay, so here's the kale. These were self-saved seeds, so all of this kale we've been eating for weeks. I've been using it nearly every day, putting it in, just like sauteed as a side dish, steamed as a side dish, in soups, in any sort of casserole, in eggs, anything. We've been putting it in everything. I've also been harvesting a lot. I have at least one full gallon-sized baggie stuffed full, and then another one I'm still working on. So I'll come out here and harvest some, and then just steam it, to blanch it, and then put it in the freezer. So I could use that for later months. So that's really nice. Like the lettuce, unfortunately, you can eat it fresh, but you can't really preserve lettuce. But the kale, I've definitely been preserving. I got a pepper that I put in there, thinking that this kale would be done sooner, but it just keeps growing. It's just keeps coming and coming, and it's beautiful, and I love it. There's some dill in here. There's some more of those radishes gone to seed. Some of them have white flowers, and some of them have these pretty pink flowers. There's some beets in here. That one, I don't know if you can see, is starting to make a beet. Here's the other tomatoes. They're looking awesome. So like I said, these are black creme, but yeah, these are nothing like those other little ones that have been shaded. So hopefully I can get those kale seeds out sooner than later and get those tomato plants rocking and rolling. Here's another kale. They just arrive everywhere. I had a lot of marigolds volunteer. Some of them are just starting to bloom. This one looks really nice. But there was a lot in this bed, but this bed it's just a jungle. I mean, let me back up so you can see what's going on here. I got sugar snap peas and snow peas. This trellis has fallen down a few times. I want to get something more sturdy for it, and I haven't been out and about going to hardware stores or anything like that, but hopefully soon. Oh, there's a sunflower there. Volunteer. Let it go. My whole garden seems to be a volunteer. I swear I actually garden. I guess my gardening style is just let the garden take care of itself. Some volunteer lettuce that just showed up. Over on this side there's some volunteer kale. This dill is out of hand. I need to pull a lot of it out. I mean, this whole bed is dill too. Ugh. I don't know. So hard for me to pull perfectly good plants out. Here's some more kale going to seed. Lots and lots of kale seeds, and look how much peas there are. There's tons of flowers, tons of peas. And we've been eating these, just snacking on them mostly, but I'd like to collect. I probably would have to collect them over a few days to have enough for a side dish for, all 4 of us, but there's a lot of peas out here. And they're still growing and still flowering, so that's nice. I put a few carrots in here. There's some radishes. I just stick radishes everywhere. I think that's it. Yeah, on the side it's just some more dill. This is my asparagus bed, and then dill came up, and I put garlic in here, and I put some sunflowers in the corners. I think, there's some radishes in here too, and there was some lettuce, volunteer lettuce. Yep, there's some red leaf lettuce. I don't know, I should try and see if that's usable or not. I put some onions in here. Yeah, jungle. It's just a jungle. Alright, so here's this bed. The weeds are just out of control. It's hard to get mulch right now. Like I said, I'm not going out of the house since I'm kind of high risk. So I've been using grass clippings and cardboard, and I don't know, it's just getting out of hand for me. I wish I had a pickup truck and just could get a load of mulch to come out here and cover it up, but we're doing the best we can here. This is a fig. It was much bigger. You can see all the wood that was cut off. My husband pruned it back since it wasn't seeming to come up. It's my apple tree. got spots from cedar apple rust. This is the biggest the apples have ever gotten. Usually the tree defoliates a long time before now, so I'll probably end up just taking it out because it's more trouble than it's worth. There's our blueberry bush. This is the nicest a blueberry bush has ever overwintered for us, but it didn't ever bloom, so we never got any blueberries. But maybe it's just establishing. That's fine. I'll be patient with that one. Got another fig there. It's doing well. Got this bird bath. I've been enjoying watching the birds splash around in it. We originally got it just as a water source for the bees, but the birds are so funny in it. The bees are just waking up. It's nice and warm today, but it's still early, so it's still a tiny bit cool and damp. They should be having a good day. This hive is doing good. That hive, I don't know. We'll see if we can get it queened up. Hoping that they do something or that something happens. Maybe a swarm will go in there. That'd be nice. Grapes. These grapes are doing okay. The other grapes, these are Concord grapes, but the other grapes, the Chambourcin grapes, get a fungal infection on them every year. But yeah, lots of grapes. Grapes everywhere. I put a peppermint in this planter. Some garlic and strawberries in this bed. I think that's all in this bed. Another fig. Some beets in here. Some volunteer tomatoes. And then these peppers I put in, I know that these are jalapeno peppers. There's another volunteer tomato that's looking like it's starting to come up. Don't know what this is. My husband's letting it grow to see if it's anything. I've never seen anything like that, so. You know, it kind of looks like a chrysanthemum. There's some long beans back there ready to go up the strings, and some okra. There's an okra there, and an okra here. I started from seed. Some radishes here, and some peppers. These I think are all volunteer peppers though, so curious to see what kind they are. There's a bunch over there. Interesting. My husband grows some pretty interesting hot peppers. These radishes looks like they're bolting, but they haven't made any roots. I've been using the radish greens. I know people have been telling me for years in my garden videos to use the radish greens, and I never have because they have kind of prickles on them. I don't know if you can see. They kind of have prickles on them, but I've been cooking them. And you can use them like pretty much any other green, mostly in soups and stir fries and stuff. Alright, I think that's it. Alright, thanks for watching. Put some links down if you do garden videos. I'd like to see your videos. If I haven't ever visited your channel before, I'd like to. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Bye!